What was entertainment like in the 80s? In 1980, Pac-Man came out. Also in 1980, the Rubik's Cube came out. In 1984, the addictive game Tetris was released. Soon after release, Tetris gained massive popularity. Many people became so absorbed by it that it took up every single ounce of their daily lives. Many personal relationships were affected by it. This was called the Tetris effect by scientists. MTV was another massive cultural influence in the early 80s. Artists like Prince, Motley Crue, and Duran Duran got a lot of exposure through the programming. A lot of their fame could be attributed to MTV. The 80s can often be characterized by its flamboyant fashion. It was a decade of bold style, colors, and silhouettes, with trends spanning ripped tights and leather to polished oversized blazers. Some style icons include Joan Jett and Brooke Shields. The 1980 presidential election was between Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter. Ronald Reagan won by landslide with 90.9% of electoral vote. This victory is mostly attributed to the failure of Jimmy Carter to handle the Iranian hostage crisis. Shortly after his election, Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981. He survived and was able to carry out the rest of his presidency. The man who shot him, John Hinckley Jr., was pronounced clinically insane and did not serve a sentence. Also in 1981, there was an assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II. He survived, but this incident illuminated the importance of the defense of public figures. The first female justice was appointed in 1981 by Reagan. Her name was Sandra Day O'Connor. She was known as a conservative justice and served from 1981 to 2001. In 1982, there was a severe global recession. This was the worst of its kind since the Great Depression and affected many countries, ranging from the United States to Japan. There was high inflation rates and many people were unemployed. In response to high unemployment rates and high inflation, Reagan introduced a solution called Reaganomics. It reduced taxes and promoted unrestricted free market activity. Unemployment rates actually went down and inflation went down as a result of this solution. In response to growing public concern over nuclear missiles, Reagan introduced Star Wars, or the Strategic Defense Initiative. The Strategic Defense Initiative took top scientists of the nation and had them create defensive outposts to defend against nuclear missiles. In 1983, 241 people died after a bombing incident in Beirut. This incident targeted peacekeepers in the area and was recognized as a terrorist attack. AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency disorder, is a disease which affects those infected with HIV, or human immunodeficiency virus. The disease targets human immune systems, diminishing to the point where infection becomes almost inevitable. The victim eventually succumbs to any given contracted infection. In 1980, a man by the name of Ken Horn became the first U.S. citizen to be pronounced dead due to HIV. This was the first case reported to the CDC. By 1981, rumors of a strange pneumonia afflicting young gay men had spread. These rumors were largely refuted by news sources, but by this point the CDC had been gathering information on the epidemic. In 1981, the New York Times described a rare cancer seen in 41 homosexuals, marking the first time the disease was publicly recognized. By the end of 1981, 121 people are thought to have died from AIDS-related infection. Treatment for the disease was sparse because it was seen as a gay disease and that it could not infect heterosexuals.
Trivia time.
Created using Powtoon.